Hey tribe, Sally here. Hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day. I know I am. Hope that you are really having an amazing and fascinating day. Just so you know, Kit's already supervising from his favorite spot. Oh, look, he's stretching. Let's get him up for a little cameo. Can you say hello? Can you say hello to the people? Huh? Can you? Can you say hello? Say hello. Hello, people. He's obviously napping quite a bit. So when I say I hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day, I know I am. I'm curious, what does that really mean? Well, for me, it means I start my day every day with the thought that my day will yield something that is amazing and fascinating. Something that might make me stop and reflect, or dive deep into a particular subject, or find a way to connect more purposefully with nature. So I'm curious. When I say that, what comes to mind for you first? Let me know in the comments, please. I'm really curious. I'd love to hear that. And without further ado, here's a huge thank out. And without further ado, here's a huge thank you to each of you for joining us today. For all of my frequent and faithful viewers, and especially for my channel members, if you want to help me grow the channel, please check the links in the video description. Thanks for being here to all of you. We're going to roll the intro and get right into this.
Wake up with the sun in our eyes. Sally forth, no need for goodbyes. Journey calls, let's roll the dice. Every mile a new surprise.
Welcome back. This is another Monday Milepost Mailbag. This is episode 17. I can't believe I've been doing this 17 times in a row. And during each mailbag, we read your comments from videos across the channel. We talk about RV life a little bit. We share a couple of laughs, and sometimes we find ourselves going down some unexpected rabbit holes, kind of like I did in the video. But that's in the intro, but that's half the fun. So before we dive into the comments, a quick reminder about comments, which is you will often see me give a thumbs up to your comment pretty soon after it's posted because I read everything on my phone. But I'm not glued to my phone. So it may be, later in the evening, first thing in the morning, whatever. But my phone screen is way too tiny for me to be able to do full replies. So sometimes it takes a few days before I can answer. I always get to them. It just has to wait until Henry, my laptop, and a cup of coffee all kind of meet up at the same time. Hope you can understand that. But I don't want you thinking, oh, you got a thumbs up and that's all you're getting. No, I really will give you a personal response. And that's my commitment. And I guess, at this size of my channel, I can do that. If it grows too big, I may not be able to do that all the time as much as I want to. So we'll figure that out if it happens. We'll see. But if you're new here, you'll hear me mention 3 fun viewer type personas throughout the mailbag. They've actually been a part of the channel for quite a while now. And they're also featured in my channel intro video if you want to take a deeper look at who they are. But just as a quick reminder, we've got Wanderin Joe. He's the scenery lover, always here for the views and the adventure. Practical Patty, all about smart habits, simplifying RV life, and everyday know-how. And then there's Tinker Tom, our fix-it friend with the clever mods, the tools, and the problem-solving ideas. So see if you can spot which persona you connect with the most as we go along today. What I find typically is that each of us has a little bit of each of them as part of us. All right, let's jump into the mailbag. So our first video today, I don't know why I'm having trouble talking. I think my tongue got stuck over my eye teeth and couldn't see what I was saying. All right, our first video for today is exploring hidden treasures in the desert. And in this video, I take you along on Kit's morning walk, where we're checking out rock art and hunting geocaches. And then that afternoon, we get out on the E-Trike for the first ride. Not truly the first ride, but the first ride with purpose. And I take you along as we discuss the features and my ride impressions. So, Sandra Hughes, -I1F, says, nice trike. That's a short comment. But thank you, Sandra. I'm having a blast getting used to it. It's opening up a whole new way to explore the desert. And I'm going to give you a hint, just in case you can't figure it out. This is a Wanderin Joe moment. And it's appreciating the simple joys of exploring, which is one of my favorite things to do. All right, next up, at Thompson121 says, trade that for something that has 4-inch wide wheels. That will help a ton when it comes to comfort. So I appreciate the suggestion. I've actually had 4-inch fat tire bikes before. Super comfy, but they come with a lot more rolling resistance. So for the kind of riding I do, and especially with kid on board, this setup hits the sweet spot, I think. And since the trike is brand new and very well researched, I'm excited to get to know it exactly the way it is. So this is a Tinker Tom moment. Gear choices and purpose-built setups. At Laura Lynn, we're still in the same video, by the way, guys. At Laura Lynn 1056 commented, "Thanks for the ride, learning about e-bike for future." So I'm curious, can you already guess which persona this hits? I'm really glad it helped. I've had several e-bikes over the years, but I chose a trike this time for Kit's comfort and for the stability when loading and unloading on the rack. And I finally made peace with the idea that trikes aren't just for old people. Comfort and safety win every time. I want to expand on that a little bit further, though, too. If you haven't watched the other videos, bike versus trike. One of the things that I kept thinking about with Kit is if I've got a bike on 2 wheels, it's going to be leaned over on the side stand when I'm trying to get him loaded into the basket. I didn't think that was really going to fly with the Kitster. And when I say that it's more stability for loading and unloading, yes, it is probably more difficult to load than a bike in and of itself. But I got to tell you, those 3 wheels are actually pretty cool for stability. And not having to put your feet down when you stop is pretty nice too. Just in case you weren't sure, this is all practical Patty energy, making choices for comfort, safety, and daily usability. That's what that's all about. So, you probably noticed a couple of different personas showing up already. We've had a little bit of Tinker Tom, a little Practical Patty, a little Wanderin Joe. So here's a fun question. What persona do you think is going to show up the most in today's mailbag? Tell me your guess down in the comments. Let me know. And even though I've given you an example of one of each, that doesn't mean it's going to be an even number. So pause the video right now. Let me know what your thought is. We're continuing on the same video. RC Maniac says, I have one of those expandable wagons that I pull behind my trike for increased cargo capacity. I even trained my dog so she will ride back there when she gets tired of my lap. I simply use a tiny dog collar to clip the wagon handle to the back of my seat. Easy on and off. The wagon folds up when it's not in use, and it doesn't take up much room. That's a really clever setup. Those folding wagons are incredibly useful if you've got the space. I used to have one myself, but storage is pretty tight here these days, and I took up most of my outside storage with my solar and battery system. That's kind of a trade-off. My hope is to eventually get Kit comfortable riding in the front basket once we've both had a little more practice on this E-Trike. So, yeah, I'm in no rush. I got all the time in the world. At Patricia Tilden 3720 says, how does all the rock art fit in with Leave No Trace? Just asking. That's a great question. And, here's the thing. The LTVAs, that's long-term visitor areas, in and around the Quartzsite area, are kind of their own long-standing culture. And while Leave No Trace is the gold standard, Quartzsite has traditions that go back decades. It's not ideal, but it's definitely part of the local desert personality. So, is it Leave No Trace? No, it's really not. It's also not truly boondocking. It's dry camping because there are amenities in the LTVAs. And yeah, it's a cultural thing. Just what it is. But thank you for asking. At Shirley Scott 8467 says, he, talking about Kit, needs goggles and a helmet. He'd be so cute. He would be cute. And I'm definitely looking at goggles to protect his eyes from dust and wind, which will become more of an issue the further we get into the season. A helmet, though? Kit says absolutely not. He won't even let me pull the hood up on his rain jacket. Yeah. For reals. At JMKC740 says, I think those black caps will pop off. You can trim the ladder and then reattach. So the issue here, guys, is what I discovered after I unloaded the trike. So not when I first got the rack, not when I was setting it up, didn't figure it out then, figured it out after I unloaded the trike. The rack should fold up 90 degrees to its deployed orientation, and it doesn't quite get there and lock into place because the ladder on my RV folds in half, and the thing that just occurred to me is, what if I unfold the ladder? Does that then give it enough clearance? I might have to try that too. But this was a great idea from JMKC740. I took a look at it yesterday, and I was able to easily, perhaps a little too easily, remove the screws, but I couldn't get the black caps off. I don't have the right tools to be able to do that, and I don't have much in the way of hand strength anymore because my hands have become very arthritic over the past couple of years, and I don't seem to be able to make much progress in that. I thought about buying the tools, which would include buying a hacksaw, but then I decided to wait because Henry's going to go in for some service and upgrades in the next week or so. And I thought I'll just have them check it out when I take it in for all that work. It looks like that might be exactly what I need to get the rack to rotate fully, but I'm also going to see if it's possible, and it might be possible that just putting the ladder down into its down position would also allow that. Interesting. I gotta go take a look at that. And so that brings us to our Airmail Shoutout Award #1 for JMKC740 for an excellent, thoughtful, problem-solving suggestion that may actually fix a real issue with my setup. You're officially this week's Tinker Tom Champion. Thanks for your sharp eye and mechanical brain. All right, next video. I know you thought we'd never get there, right? Unloading my new E-Trike. Why I chose it. The title kind of says it all, but there were a lot of choices to be made along the way, most importantly how to transport it and keep it safely under lock and key. So Dorothy Brumlow 8430 says, how does this impact the length of your rig? Do you need to increase your rig length by the trike trailer? It's such a great question. And the answer is yes. I now have to think of Henry not as 28 feet, but as 32 feet in total because the rack sticks out about 4 feet beyond the back of the RV. It really doesn't affect my boondocking much. But if I were going to be in an RV park, certainly, when you're choosing space lengths, I'd be looking at 32 feet, not at 28. And it absolutely matters for steep driveways, for dips and washes, and some tight campground loops. So, in fact, I hit a driveway coming out of Yuma. I forget where I was, but I was down in Yuma, and I was coming out of driveway, and I actually caught one side of it, so it's a little bit cattywampus already. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to be any the worse for wear. So from the video Painted Canyon Surprise, where we were continuing our exploration of Theodore Roosevelt National Park by leaving the South Unit behind, heading to the North Unit, and along the way we discovered the Painted Canyon Unit was actually a rest stop on the freeway, complete with hikes and stunning views. And yeah, you can overnight there, although we didn't because I found a great deal at the CCC campground, which was just outside the North Unit. $5 a night for electric hookups with the access or the senior pass from America the Beautiful, the interagency pass. Wait for the next vid, which will be part 3 in the Theodore Roosevelt National Park series, where we leave the CC campground behind, not without a lot of trepidation. If you've watched that video already, there was a lot of rain and a lot of ruts in the loop that we were in. A guy in a heavy-duty tractor, so the kind of truck that would be in front of a tractor trailer, the tractor portion, pulling an enormous fifth wheel, came through, and he was doing it at a pretty high speed because I think he realized once he started through our cul-de-sac that he was sinking, and I think he wanted to apply as much acceleration as he could to get out of there as quick as he could. We had ruts that were 1 and 2 feet deep as a result of that, and then other people coming through hoping they were going to be able to find a site. It got really torn up. We had a lot of rain. The ground was incredibly soft. It was actually a big question as to whether or not we were going to be able to leave when we wanted to leave. So we'll see. You'll see how that worked out in the next video. Now, obviously, we did get out of there because I'm now here. But you got to watch that vid to, see what happened. And then see the North Unit of the Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Very, very cool. Crafty Traveler 9238 says, that campground looks great. I need to go back. It really was a hidden gem, except for the gravel issues. Hope you do make it back to North Dakota. It's one of those places that really sticks with you. Angela Ann YL8RP left a long comment about falling downstairs foot issues healing, and memories triggered by the video, as well as some gratitude. And Angela, your stories always make me smile and sometimes wince. Those steps on the hike that we did at the Painted Canyon, those steps that you fell down really did a number on you, and I'm glad your foot eventually healed. It's funny how a simple trail like that hike we did at Painted Canyon can bring back memories that we didn't know we still had tucked away. Sending hugs to you and Angel in North Carolina. So Airmail Shoutout Award number 2 goes to Kentucky Lucky 5762. Please don't be disappointed that none of your specific comments were featured today. I'm just so grateful for you showing up consistently across videos this past week or so and jumping right into the conversations with thoughtful, personal, warm-hearted comments. You bring wonderful, practical Patty energy to this community. Thank you for being here. And we had a community post from, I think this was last week's winner, Donald Sewell 7876. His comment is, try loading the bike tail first, better steering and no climbing, which is actually a great suggestion. I actually did try loading it tail first the first time, and it just felt a little bit less stable for me, but since the ramps clip to either side of the rack, I do have the flexibility to use either direction, and I'll practice it again as I get more comfortable. And thank you for being the very first person to comment on one of my community posts. Appreciate that. All right, I got a quick update for you on this morning's breakfast. I got to tell you, I did a waffle pancake mix experiment this morning that turned out fantastic. We'll be talking more about that soon, and I will, of course, be sharing the recipe. But this isn't just a recipe. This is a meal prep hack that I'm pretty pleased with. So pretty excited about that. Look for that video coming up. Got a meetup reminder for you, Friday, January 16th. We're going to be getting together. It's the day after the RTR and the day before the big tent show begins. I hope to see many of you there. Stay tuned for more details as I work on firming up those plans. I'm sure I'll have something different than the date, just the date, to say by next week. As always, thank you for every comment, every smile, every story, and every tip that you share. You are what makes this little community feel like home. Give your pets a hug from... I gotta get him up. Come here. Don't grumble. Come. You gotta come say goodbye to your... Gotta say goodbye to your viewers. Give your pets a hug from Kit and me. And I'll see you in the next adventure. Bye for now.